Kekkyoku Nankyoku Daibouken is the other game that Konami burst onto the Famicom with. This one started out on the other big platform that Konami supported, the MSX. It got ported around a bit too before it made its way to the Famicom. So not quite as impressive as bringing their current big arcade game to the system. Kekkyoku Nankyoku Daibouken, and that's the last time I'm going to say that because the cartridge has an English title on it, and the title screen only has the English title Antarctic Adventure on it. It's a cute game. Not an especially deep one, but it's cute. In the game, Penta the Penguin is racing around Antarctica. You're not competing against anyone, you're just racing the clock. Your waypoints are various scientific stations around the continent. Though oddly enough, no station from a communist country. You set up from the Japanese station and then work your way around. The locations of the stations actually are reflective of real-world Antarctic research stations in the 1980s. So the distances between them for each leg of the race are kind of close to the real-world distances for those paths. Maybe that's why I've seen some Japanese sources call this an educational game. There's 3 obstacles that you'll encounter in your run. Crevasses are the biggest risk. You'll fall into these and have to hit the jump button to get out again. They're often placed so that you'll have to jump over several in a row like hurdles. The smaller pits won't pull you down, but they will make you stumble. Stumbling puts your speed down to 0 when you lose control for a few seconds. Sometimes a fish will burst out of one of those holes. You can collect it for extra points. And watch out while jumping over the holes because that's where you can encounter the 3rd obstacle, a walrus that pops out of them. When you collide with her, you get pushed to the side. Along the way, you'll spot green and blue flags. Those can be collected for extra points. In case you couldn't tell, this is really a score attack game rather than a race game. The flashing flags are the most important ones to collect. Getting one of those will give you a propeller beanie. Jump again while you're in the air to fly ahead. It does come with a few caveats though. You can only do this once per pickup. And worst of all, if you're wearing the beanie and run into any obstacle, you lose it. So there's definitely a use it or lose it situation here. You set Penta's speed by pressing up and down on the control pad. The thing is, there's barely enough time on a lot of legs to complete the course at full speed. We're talking maybe 15 spare seconds out of over a minute and a half. So lowering your speed to deal with obstacles or sharp turns is generally the last thing you want to do. This isn't a racing game where you need to brake to go around corners easily. You can take every turn in Antarctic Adventure at full speed without a problem. So go flat out and only reduce the speed when jumping over an obstacle will land you in another obstacle. Another tip, the edges of the crevasses won't drop you into them, they'll just make you stumble. Depending on the situation you're in, you might want to aim for those instead. If you think you've heard the music in Antarctic Adventure before but don't quite recognize it, it's The Skater's Waltz by Emil Voltefil. There's not a lot more I can say about Antarctic Adventure. I've read that it wasn't particularly popular on release since it felt a bit old-fashioned to players in 1985. Penta becomes one of Konami's mascots and shows up in a handful of other games on the Famicom. I kind of like Antarctic Adventure, but it is way too simple. I had fun playing it while I was recording this video, but by the time I was done, I'm done with Antarctic Adventure for the time being. Still, I know in a few months I'll come across it again and go, oh, I like that, I should play it again.